Marriage was created by God as a lifelong union between one man and one woman. And it's no secret that life isn't a static state of being, but rather a decades-long series of events that shape and change us over the course of time. So how does a couple maintain their marital union throughout all those changes? Well, today, we're recording the show live at Calvary's Marriage Seminar, where we'll be talking with an incredibly dynamic guest panel about unity through the ages and how marriages stay united even as our relationships evolve. I'm your host, Ben Houk, and I'd like to welcome you to this very special edition of This is Family. Now, before we begin, let's take a moment to introduce our guest panelists. So, of course, on our far right, we have Pastor and Sister Lopez. Let's give them a hand and welcome them. Thank you for being with us. Pastor and Sister Lopez met at Indiana Bible College and were married in 2004. Since that time, they've ministered together at Calvary as young adults leaders and as outreach and discipleship directors, and became executive pastor in 2021. The Lopezes, of course, have two wonderful children, and they also have a dog that I will leave to Pastor Lopez to let us know whether or not the dog is wonderful. But
the dog is incredible.
Okay, good. All right, and then here we have brother and sister Randy Scott. The Scotts have served in various ministry roles that span the majority of their lifetime, including assistant pastors at the Pentecostals of South Lake in Maryville, Indiana, for 35 years. The Scotts have been married for 53 years, and they have one child and two wonderful grandchildren. And we'd like to thank you and welcome you to our panel as well. Thank you, brothers and sisters. And then, of course, our very special guests, the Gaddys, brother and sister Gaddy. They met at Christian Life College in Stockton, California, and they got married in 1993. They have two children, Madison and Landon. And in their time in ministry, they've served as youth pastor, church planter. They've now pastored New Life Church in Cabot, Arkansas since 1999. And Brother Gaddy also serves as the district superintendent of Arkansas. Thank you, Brother and Sister Gaddy, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Okay, Brother and Sister Lopez, the question really starts with you. Let's go back to the beginning when you were newlyweds. Try to think back to when you were just newly married. And what were your perceptions of the marital union at those early stages?
I think he's waiting to hear from you.
Well, I would say we had definitely a lot of unrealistic expectations going into marriage. I know, like, for myself, just, watching, like, Anne of Green Gables and all these movies, and you just feel like it's going to be this perfect union and what it all was going to be like. And then you enter it, and it's real life. And so for us, I think that was a lot of that.
We moved into an apartment, not a castle.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
not like any of these shows you've seen or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I realized in those first few years was that marriage can be this incredible thing, this incredible relationship, but you've got to really work at it to make it that way. And looking back at it now, I realize, like, every relationship that you have that's going to have any merit, any value to it, takes a lot of work. But marriage, I just thought, like, no one ever told you that. Yeah. Like, why is the most important relationship you're ever going to be in your life not talked about how much work it takes to make it a success? Yeah. And so for me going into to marriage, and that first year especially, I got smacked in the face with the realization that, all right, bro, you got to put your head down and get to work and figure this thing out so that it can be as special as you expected it to be when you said I do.
That's quite true. Can you give us now? You gave us kind of a sanitized version of this. I have to think that there's got to be some just big clashes or something that's like epic, like things that you go back to and you're thinking, wow, we learned a lot from that, and in the moment it was terrible. Okay, I see the wheels turning, Pastor Lopez. You got to share with us.
I'll let her share. She's got plenty.
Oh, wow, okay. Okay, so we definitely came from different backgrounds, and so I think we definitely noticed that in that first year of marriage. Working through that, I was raised in church, and he was just not raised in church, and then just the different dynamic of like his parents were divorced, and my parents were still married. So just those different dynamics at play. But one of them, which I like really thought was funny, thinking back through this. So I was raised like dinners every night, cooking, all that kind of thing. And so I would like make these dinners for us at night and just, so excited and proud of myself. And he would just be like, I mean, can't we just have pizza rolls? Can't we just have, like, he just wanted pizza rolls and like all these things. I was not raised on pizza rolls. I wasn't raised on, I don't
classy,
know.
Real classy.
So it was just, I was like, what is happening here? But, so just that kind of different dynamics, we just raised differently and then just, trying to, you figure it all out, I guess.
Yeah, not growing up, eating around a table together and having like fixed meals together, I had zero appreciation for all the effort she would put into making a meal for us. And so it's like my whole frame of mind was messed up. Like I remember eating as an adult. We were married, my first all beef hot dog. And I was like, this is disgusting. Like, who buys these hot dogs and why are they like so expensive? And when you grow up eating garbage, and then you finally get to eat a good hot dog that's not ground up pig parts, then you're like, but now I will never eat those other hot dogs or the bologna tacos.
Bologna tacos I was like, what is a bologna taco? I've never heard of such a thing, but it was like a staple that he ate. I don't know.
So was the bologna the taco shell, or was the bologna?
No, it went in a tortilla. Like,
okay.
that was authentic.
Oh, my. Oh, my. That's troubling.
Yes, this is why we're here.
Thanks
We
for
need
bringing
you, Brother
all
Gaddy.
this up today.
I see we got a lot of work to do this week.
We got a lot.
So just different backgrounds
Sure.
coming together and
Oh, here's
different
another big
worlds.
one. So I don't want to take all the time, but
Wow.
here's one that was massive for me. We got married, and all of a sudden it was like cling. And she had to be with me every second of every day. And I had friends. I had a life before marriage. I grew up in Indianapolis. And it wasn't just that I wanted to be a jerk and be by myself sometimes and go with the guys and hang out and have fun. I wanted her to do the same thing with her friends. But I didn't process the part that she's a Bible college student here. She's not from Indianapolis. This is not her home church. So for all those reasons, there was a lot of clashing there. And back to the expectations. And we didn't know enough to communicate back then. So talking through this, it just didn't happen. Like, you just saw her get frustrated more and more and more. And it was so basic to me, babe. Find a friend. Spend time with them. Enjoy that. And let me do the same.
That's good. Very good. Very good. Well, and as your relationship grows and as you learn more and more about each other, that union and the thing that we're constantly pursuing, a more perfect union, comes into focus, I'm sure. And that doesn't mean that there aren't times that still we end up clashing, but we're always striving. So thank you very much for sharing that. And so I would turn my attention now to Brother and Sister Gaddy as you kind of look into those middle years. Y'all been married since 1993, I believe. So can you give us a little bit of an insight of your perceptions on how the marital union evolved through those middle years of marriage?
I'm still thinking about those bologna tacos. All kidding aside, we've been married for 30 years now. We just celebrated 30 years
Congratulations.
of marriage. And as I started thinking back through the middle years, because truly we are middle age now, whether we like it or not. And the way my brain works is I kind of just start walking back in my mind through 30 years, okay, go back halfway, 15 years. What was going on in our lives at that time? And that was about the time when we entered having kids as preteens, and teenagers. And so the last 15 years of our lives in this middle age season has been that reality. Preteens, teenagers, young adults, and now both of our kids out of the house. They're living in different parts of the country now. And so as I got to thinking about this from my perspective as a husband, our early years, we were very much connected because it was just us. The attention was just us. And then when our children came, we had a mutual focus and attention with our kids. And so that caused Stacy and I to have to be together, to have that union together many times around the schedules of the kids. But then Stacy and I began to see something a few years ago when we were looking, if you can pardon this cliche, in the windshield, and we could see the day coming when our kids were not going to be at home anymore. And what was a tension many years ago had to transition in my mind to intention, to make sure our relationship was growing intentionally, so that when that part of our life that was causing us to have so much attention on it is not there anymore, we're not left not knowing one another. And so that was really something that we've had to intentionally work on in the last number of years. And I know Stacy will share a little bit of maybe some practical things about how we did that and how we are still doing that. Because as Brother Lopez says, marriage takes good, hard work. Mm-hmm. And it just takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, very good. Excellent.
Well, if there was a word that would kind of define maybe the middle age, it's contemplative, because we're not newlyweds. We've gotten past a lot of things. We figured a lot of things out and overcame a lot of things, because you bring a lot of baggage when you come into marriage, right? Everybody raise your hands, please. Thank you. You bring that in and you figure that stuff out and you're getting past that. So contemplative, because you're looking past of what you've overcome and where you've come from. And then you're getting close to looking ahead, like he mentioned about empty nesting. I remember when it was about 5 years before our oldest daughter. That sounds like we have 2 daughters. We have 2 children, a boy and a girl. Our oldest child was about to graduate. Well, in 5 years she was graduating. And then we started realizing that, wow, as an empty nester, this means it's you, me, and the dog. Like if she survives. And she was already 12 or so at that year. And the reality of that is the contemplative part of it is, what is our marriage about? Like, you think more about your marriage, because the focus was children. We were starting a church. Our lives were full force into ministry. Everything was Team Gaddy. We were together as a team, raising children. They needed us. We were very much a part of that, tucking them into bed at night, and all the things that our children needed from us. Then as they were getting older, these preteens, teens year, we started realizing that our lives didn't intersect quite as much together in Team Gaddy, doing everything together. The focus, like my husband had mentioned, that our lives started a little bit more parallel tracks of we were not needed as parents to get the togetherness of us, of back and forth, of the things that are needed from our kids. Our church was past the infancy stages, and so it became almost this time of looking at our marriage of, what about us? And this is going to be us. So what are we doing to make sure that we are still in love, that we enjoy things together? What are we doing that it's not just church-focused, ministry, outside things, family? And so that was the time that we started realizing that every week we would get together and we would be intentional about the time that we would have, that we would enjoy hobbies again, that they didn't just focus around children or church or ministry, that we went and got bikes so that we could start bike riding, so that we could have something that we could do together, and focusing on us a little bit more, so that contemplative part of where have we gone, appreciating that, who we are as individuals now, where are we going? And we started working on those things. And I feel like our middle age, the middle years, were really, really a strengthening time. That it wasn't survival mode, it wasn't going into our golden years, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you all about these, because we're headed that direction. But it was a strengthening time because of that stopping, where are we at, assessing, and then putting some things into our marriage.
Wow. Yeah, that's so good. Then the intentionality that you both just described, I think we can all walk away from this conversation and apply that and really know that you got to be intentional with knowing where the future is coming at us to make sure that the union that began over the bologna tacos will still end over hopefully something a little bit better than bologna tacos. Brother and Sister Scott, you all, of course, as the, let's just say the wisest couple on our panel. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have great admiration for the both of you. So how would you view that marital union now in your golden years? Share some wisdom that you've gained with us over the decades that you've been married.
Well, Sister Gaddy kind of set the stage already when she looked at us and said she was on a senior flight. We were not there, but I kind of got to get just there. But we have learned one thing. Life is but a vapor. Guy and I have been married 54 years next month. And it seems just like it was the other day when we said, I do. Life is here for such a short time. And then it's gone. I believe that's why the wise man said and told us and warned us that it's the little foxes that spoil the vines. We cannot get sidetracked on the discouragement and the disappointments of life, because it will happen. Life never, in all the years I've been around church and church people, I've never seen life turned out as planned. It just never happens. But I've learned one thing. Everyone stumbles and everyone makes mistakes. But Kai and I have learned this. Get up.
So good. Yeah.
Get up. No, I shouldn't have said that. No, we shouldn't have made that decision. No, we didn't really pray like we should have. No, we chose not to push the plate away for that decision. But God in his mercy.
Yeah.
All right. Hallelujah. Yeah. God in his mercy. If we only try to get up, he's always there to help us the rest of the way.
Yeah. Wow. So good.
And we just have to keep trying. And keep moving forward. Because of this, self-pity is a brother to bitterness.
Very good.
I want that to sink in. Because life doesn't turn out as planned. But self-pity is a brother to bitterness. And we've seen, and we say, and Brother and Sister Gaddy may want to nod their heads in this testimony with us. We've seen good people destroyed by bitterness.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Good people. Prayed with at the altar. Thought nothing would ever happen. But because of some sideway motion, it sets in.
Yeah.
And Kai and I have learned this. We have to love each other with a forgiving heart.
Right.
Love each other with a forgiving heart. And one rule we've always kept in our house, and this is not humorous, but it's true. We've learned never, ever to spread our dirty laundry out in public.
That's good.
Communication is a must. We've learned that change or don't ever set the tone of that day. Go and say to each other, I love you.
And I love you.
Because we don't know what a day will hold or what it's
we
going
sure
to come
don't.
to. It's good to hear from the start. It brings back so many memories for us. And we could still do all that. It
Well,
seems
I
like
don't-
we're starting over, so we are going to do
Well-
all of that. We're going to go from the young to the middle and then back to the old again. And we're so thankful that we can still be with each other.
Yeah.
I would never want to be any other place but than to be with this man right here. He's my rock. God is first in our life. He taught me when we were first married. I was not in church. I did not grow up in church. I was the wild one. And I didn't eat those tacos, though. I did come from a good family, but they were Methodist and Salvation Army people. We sat around the table and ate good food. And I do want to tell one story. I know this is kind of off, but talking about food, that brought back memories for me. I thought I am going to make the biggest meal ever.
Oh, brother,
when
I didn't think you were
first
gonna tell this
married. And it was meatloaf. I knew how to make that perfect with white gravy and corn, and had the meatloaf perfect. He come home from work, took a shower, we sat down to eat, and he said, "What is this?" And I go, "It's meatloaf." He said, "Oh, I don't like that." I go, "Well, just try it. Please just try it. I've worked all day for this, and I wanted to surprise you. Just try it." He said, "I don't like it. I'm not going to eat it." I go, "Just try it." He said, "No, I'm not." So I said, "Okay." I picked up the plate. I threw everything in the garbage, plate and everything. I said, "Go fix your own meal."
And you all
That is a
survived.
true story.
And to this day, he will not even try meatloaf.
Oh, wow. Well, that's incredible. And you know, as we look through each stage, through the eyes of each one of you up here, what I have seen is just, and completely unplanned, but I love how we see this continue, or the repeated theme here of we're going to be intentional about looking at our union and seeing how we can make it better. From Brother and Sister Scott's perspective of having been married for nearly 54 years, I still hear from them of, we want to grow closer. Sister Scott, I love being with this man. There's no one else in the world I'd rather be with. These are things that we all should strive to do, that we all should be working. And it does take work, Brother Gaddy, Brother Lopez. It does take work. But through God's help and asking Him to be involved in our marriages, in our relationships, we too can hit 53, 54, 55 years through His help. So really, really appreciate the wisdom that you all have shared with us today. And can we give our panelists another hand? Well, we've come to the end of today's show, and we'd like to express gratitude to our panelists for sharing their expertise with us, as well as to our live audience for their time and attentiveness. And thank you for joining us on this special live edition of This is Family. We're so honored when you watch or listen. If you've enjoyed the show, please take a moment to like and subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. We also appreciate it when you tell friends or family members about This is Family. Until next time, we say so long, and we pray God's blessings on your family.